Hello, I am here with Vittoria today, and we will be typing Eartha Kitt, who has been befuddling us for a couple of months, but we come to an epiphany about her typing, so we're really excited to make this video, even though we don't know what we're going to say.
Yeah, I think she's a tricky case and she is certainly a colorful persona worth dissecting. Nice, nice. So we can first note that here we have a lady who's like close to 80 wearing a wig with feathers. Uh God, like gaudy makeup, like she wants to stay youthful basically. She has the fierce look, like her eyes are just piercing,
Mhm.
whatever, mischievous. Even as an old lady, you can see her like she has her bling on. So this is like influence of both seven and or sexual. The youthfulness bit is sevenish in my opinion. And the ooh, look at me, look at what I still got as an 80-year-old might be related to SX in my opinion.
And yeah, I've noticed this pattern with 7 1s where I mean, this is like a broad generalization, but they weirdly like really ill-fitting wigs or like wigs that look really wiggy, like for some reason, or they have hair that looks like a wig, like some weird trend I've just noticed. Their hair always looks kind of like fake, um, for some reason. This kind of looks 7 4-ish to me as well, like because I feel like 7 4 is kind of a clown thing. I mean, this is like just one look, but she's obviously doesn't look like that here. She's very like kind of demure and elegant looking, and some here she's doing this looks a little sexual. Like this looks like
Her eyes, yeah, her eyes are definitely like very v full of vigor, you know? They're not dead eyes. I mean they look sleepy, but here at least, but it's not that type of sleepy. It's just like trying to be whatever, sexually alluring or something.
I guess we didn't even like introduce her. She's a
Oh
singer
yeah,
actress. She's so fascinating. Eartha Kitt. And I was she the original Catwoman?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even think to pull up one of her we gotta
Her
play this one.
songs.
Yeah.
Let's do the evil one. I want to be evil. Is that the one?
Yeah. She has also just such a unique a voice, like and presentation that um like she was just so like she's kind of strange, right? Like cool, strange.
Very theatrical.
I've posed for pictures with ivory soap. I've petted stray dogs and shied glitter dope.
Like, when was this from?
My smile is brilliant. My glance is tender. But I'm noted most for my unspoiled agenda. I've been made Miss Rheingold, though I never touch beer. And I'm the person to whom they say, you're sweet, my dear. The only etchings I've seen have been behind glass. And the closest I've been to a bar was at Larry Class. Prim and proper, the girl who's never been kissed. But I'm tired of being pure and not chaste. Something that six and level. I wanna go to the devil. I wanna be evil. I wanna spit tax. I wanna be evil and cheat at jacks. I wanna be wicked. I wanna tell lies. I wanna be mean and traumatize. I want to wake up.
used to walk around listening to this song and just being like, yes, I want to be evil. It does seem like a kind of 740 sort of song. And like, yeah, she kind of has like that ping pong between like the super ego and also like one of the bad fixes or one of the bad
And that
types.
I weave a spell.
Yeah, there's a, you know what, in that specific video, there's something about her that, even though it's very different, but something similar to Bjork a bit. I don't know why.
Oh, interesting.
They're just like a more sharp, shrill Bjork, and well, she's not a 9, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's so strange because I thought she was like maybe triple reactive when I first started looking at her like over a year ago and or a year ago, whatever it was, and I was like so confused because like I could see 4, but I could see super ego, and it was just, yeah, for some reason confusing, but we think we've cracked the code here.
In the book, when I was writing the book, I realized that more and more. And that's why maybe sometimes I am going around looking like the urchin that I really know I am inside of myself, and not wearing any makeup and not caring about what I look like. That little ugly duckling was always told she's an ugly duckling. Nobody wants you. And she's trying so hard to find somebody that says, Eartha, it's all right. You want it too. But nobody's done that yet. Maybe I have not given them a chance to do so. I don't know. But she keeps hoping.
But people must have shown you affection and love in your life. Is it that you can't accept it?
The public and my daughter, yes. The public.
Never.
If it wasn't
never
for
a
the
man.
public, a man has always wanted to lay me down, but he never wanted to pick me up. And
That seems like such a heart story too, like such an image story that she's telling herself, like and she does have these sob stories that she busts out like very dramatically in a lot of
Oh
these.
yeah, a lot of them.
That's where we were also kind of confused because it's like when you were like maybe she's a 7, I was like, how the fuck 7's gonna go around doing these sob story tours? Like, I don't think so, but triple frustration, that's a pretty unhappy trifix.
But I mean, in her case, they are deserved in a way, as in like she had a shit childhood, and
Yeah.
she's been around shit people. But I think um using it as like her thing, you know, spinning it into theater,
Mm,
does feel like some like 7ish take on it.
mm.
And
Yeah,
sometimes
totally. Seven with 4. Like I think there has to be
yeah,
4 in the mix, like to do that.
theater out of something bad that happened to them. Like she's not always as negative. Sometimes she like says something so tragic and she's like, "Oh man, it's not well it made me a better person." Kind of like a positive spin on like terrible events. But yeah, this affection part coming up I think is also telling if you want to play it.
And I think like the 2, it's like if you take 2 and 6 versus 4 and 7, it's like 2 and 6 wants your sympathy, like they want you to care. And I think 4 and 7 is more just like you're just bearing witness to the great tragedy and beauty that is my horrible life. And I think that's more what she's doing.
the men,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because she doesn't even look at people like pleading. She's kind of like she's her own audience in a way.
Mm. Yeah. Probably not even realizing how she's coming across, like that it's like, whoa.
Mm. Yeah.
Like in her face too. I mean, and this is what I was also mistaking for maybe like triple reactive. It's just like, but it is, if you look at it, it is frustration. It's like just so much disappointment.
It's like downturned lips, you know, her mouth like has, I don't know, if you want to be superficial about it, it's like,
No,
and
I think,
a lot of tension, a lot of body tension. I think she has a one fix.
yeah,
Um, from how she holds her body and her eyes, like manic 7 eyes.
yeah. Yeah, like she's kind of scary, even though she looks like she's tiny. But she's scary. Like she's got a very intense energy.
We
And
were talking, sorry, we were talking earlier, like 7w8 has that kind of villain, kind of like comical demon, whatever, devilish face.
yeah. Which was kind of perfect for her playing Catwoman, which is maybe partly why she got cast. Like this tiny, like, yeah, little demon creature. Like, if you look at this face, like, just miserable.
Pursed lips.
Did real love and affection for me were the ones that never touched me. It was Orson Welles, Ruby Rosa, and there were a couple of real love, strong love that men have had for me. Two of them, John Barry Ryan III and Arthur Jr. But then the mothers step in. And I think very often the mothers, particularly with boys who come from extremely wealthy families and they are the only son, they would rather them marry trash than marry someone of color, no matter how wonderful that person of color may be.
So, like, this, not to invalidate what she's saying, because obviously it was like this, and I'm sure it is still like this for a lot of people. But it's like if you look at like a 3 heart, or like it's like they're gonna take that little seed. It's like I was mistreated, and I became like, you know what I mean? Like that's like a catapult, their sob story. But she won't stop bringing it up even as an older woman. It's like she associates into this like dramatic,
Like she identifies with it.
yeah, like it's her identity. And I think that that can be really hard for 4 fixers to move out of, the great tragedy of their identity, so that they can actually actualize positive things in their life.
Mhm.
But I
Also,
mean,
like,
for her, like I'm sure it was.
I think this is, we can point out that one of the things she did was like she had like a White House speech, like to talk a little bit about stacking. She had a White House speech that she like, I think she criticized the Vietnam War, and I think she definitely has social in her stacking. I think one of the videos, I think the 1971, the one that starts with 1971 in the title, I think that when she's criticizing, like towards the end, she does like a little critique.
You said, my mother gave me away at the age of 5, and if my mother gives me away, she doesn't want me. So why should anybody want me?
Well, I think that when a mother gives a child away, according to the way I feel, as you were asking me that question, it is true. I have always lived with a feeling that if my mother gave me away, as I feel anyone would feel if one's mother gave you away, that means that the most important person in the world didn't want you. Whatever the reasons might have been, I think that there are many explanations I can make for my mother giving me away. And I think that even though I have tried to explain within myself as to why she gave me away, it's still very difficult for me to accept it.
Of course it is. With a sort of present background, with a background in your past, I mean, how do you view the people now that you're at the top?
It's so British looking.
All the sort of fawning admirers. Do you sort of stay within yourself and look at them and think, would you really want to know me if I wasn't Eartha Kitt? Do you have this sort of reserve about meeting people?
Yes, I think because of a fear that you have, that whomever comes into your life, you're wondering if they really like you enough not to give you away, even after they get to know you.
Yes.
So you're constantly aware of the possibility of, even as a public, that one day they will give you away too.
Now then,
God.
It's interesting because there are like attachment sort of elements to things that she's saying, but
This feels like predicting I don't know if it's reactivity, but it's like, oh yeah, shit is gonna come down upon me anyways.
Mhm.
I think this is like fourish, damping, what's the word? Pushing down the 7,
Yeah.
like contrasting with 7.
Yeah, like her 4 heart seems very strong to me. Like it's just so yeah, she just
And
seems so like broken and miserable. And it's not like the same as somebody who's just like depressed. It's like this is her identity.
yeah, and then I think we've noticed, like anecdotally, I think even from like previous typings, or I can't remember who pointed that out, like 7, when you have like various fixes with 7, like 7 can kind of make it extra,
Mhm.
like gives it space to be more out there,
Yeah.
because
Yeah, I
7s have no shame.
and I think she could be heart second, and like we talked about last night, like probably 1 wing 2 fix. So then she would have like 4 wing 3 and 1 wing 2. So she has like a lot of extra emotional heart energy present in her trifix.
Yeah,
And probably self-pres blind, which makes her even more like kind of vulnerable and like I don't know.
naive,
Sorry.
like naive in a
Yeah,
way.
yeah, and like probably with the 4 heart, and all this frustration, she's probably just like or was like constantly attracting constant frustration in the sexual and the social space and constantly being let down and heartbroken and used and not that she created those situations for herself as a child, of course, but like as an adult, like we play out those patterns again and again.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially when they really become our identity. So
Come to a very important date in your life. It's November the 26th, 1961, at 2 hours, 19 minutes past midnight, 7 pounds, 9 ounces in Los Angeles. A young lady by the name of Kit McDonald came into the world, didn't she? That must have been a great show.
Yes, it was. As a matter of fact, it still is, because I feel very close to my child, and I don't think that there's anything in the world that is more important than fulfilling your position, not only as a person in the world, but you are a woman, and to fulfill that position as a woman, I feel that is when you really feel you have accomplished something. Particularly when I see this child, and I'm with her all the time.
you know, it's weird. I'm starting to notice actually this pattern with social sexual. Um, they weirdly, even like doesn't matter about what their core is or anything, they seem to have this weird thing about being a woman, like female social sexuals. It's like like they weirdly can focus on gender stuff.
Social sexual, not sexual social. I think, yeah, I can see what you mean.
Maybe it's sexual social too. Maybe it's just SP blind.
I think, yeah, I think it's those two stackings, like, because you have sexual, and you have it like interwoven, with the social realm. So there will always be there will always be this like focus on like what each gender has to like offer, or kind of like the archetypes of each gender. But I
Mhm.
guess this is also the 60s and 70s, and people back then were less into the whole like androgyny and like overlap of the two and whatever, which like some sexuals now might be more into.
That's a good point actually.
I feel the importance of being a human being, and I feel the importance of being a woman, and I don't think that I have ever really appreciated myself as a human being until I got that child.
I've got a marvelous.
And she's just like freely weeping, kind of like in this interview that's like about her book. Um like I mean, look at it, like look at this face. This is like just this is like yeah, like 1 4 or 1 7. Like there's just
My smile is brilliant. My glance is tender.
Even the way she sings, she sounds like annoyed.
But I'm noted most for my unspoiled agenda. I've been made who pushed those particular kind of songs out on the public, so that's how I.
Because you're not a wicked woman.
No, I'm not. But who's going to believe me?
Nobody. Nobody, no. But I'm reading your book, you know. Your name, you've associated with people like Porfirio Rubirosa, one of the great lovers of all time,
Yeah.
with Orson Welles, who's not known to be quiet. And yet they never laid a glove on you, did they?
No, that's right. I was very young, and they had tremendous respect for a very young girl.
Well, that's nice, but it's not that because you see, as you say, you seem to be wicked. And you're not a tease, are you?
Oh, dear.
Yes, no, there you are, you see. There you are, you're doing it now. You're doing it. You see now.
Also, I think this is maybe, I don't know if this is a 7-4 thing or just it's like when somebody tells you you're bad, you're like, I'm not bad. Like I'm nice. But then if someone tells you you're really nice, you're good. No, I'm not. I'm bad.
This
Maybe
is
that's
certainly true. This is sexual, in my opinion.
yeah, and sexual. I guess you're right.
She's just like
being
just
coy.
bait. It worked, and like it's like the best bait you can give a sexual type, honestly. And then there's another demo in the other video where she's literally glasses are falling over the place because she can't control herself.
Like getting into show business because I was brought up rather strictly in the cotton field in South Carolina. And as a result, you do what you are told to do, not what you want to do. And I think that I was afraid always to exercise my feelings about anything because I thought I would get my face slapped or something like that, or a little slap on my derriere because I wasn't obedient. But when the time came for me to really say, I think I'm in your way, to my aunt when she brought me to New York, I think I'm in your way, because she was a very beautiful woman and she didn't know anything about taking care of children. My mother had died, or whomever was saying that she was my mother, who had given me away to so many people at the time down south. So she brought me up north, my aunt, and she told me she was my mother. I'm very confused about the whole thing. But at any
And like I can see how like a lot like this kind of stuff like was what was also confusing me, because I was like, how is she not like a super ego type, or how is she not like a 6 or something? But 1 wing 2, that's double super ego in the gut center.
Yeah, and she's also like she briefly mentions it here, but she also mentions in another video about like how she does not want to be in anyone's way. She just wants to be like autonomous, not affect anyone. Which I think it's also a bit, I mean all types 6s might say that, but I think deep down they might not necessarily go through with it. But I think 7s want to sever like any connection or debts or anything, they just want to be completely free.
Yeah,
Like, I'll get out of your way.
Yeah, I hate asking for favors. It's like I think a bunch of types maybe, yeah, I feel like this too. Or like even this is like a weird example maybe, but there was this younger guy that was like into me and he kept trying to give me this book and I was like, I don't need your book. Like and I was like, I know this is just so that he can make me hang out with him again to get the book back. And it was just like to me, like but that's sort of the energy I have with a lot of where I'm like, ugh, you're trying to like create a connection here and I'm not like having it because you're gonna try to come like I remember I actually ended up throwing the book out. Like he ended up just, I was like, fine, I'll take it. And then he was like, can I have my book back? Like a week or 2 later, whenever the fuck it was. And I was like, no. I ended up curving it. It's like, that's what you get for trying to trick me into hanging out with you again, you little shit. Anyway.
When they took me to lunch and they said, what do you do? I said, I cannot tell you what I do. I can only show you what I do. And they wrote this song for me from the experiences that I had had with all of these handsome, rich people, including King Farouk and Ruby Rosa and people like that in Paris, you know. So when I came back to America, they wrote the song for me, and it was called Monotonous. So 4 liners.
I just want to interrupt to say that also kind of points to either maybe like 7 or her having like social and sexual, because like conquests, it's like a I think there can be a conquest thing for 7s, and maybe
A conquest or contest?
conquests, probably more so with 8, like 7 wing 8. I could see that, like where it's like, I've been with the greatest lovers there out to be with, like, because it's like, because 7's like having their weird little stories, they're like unique, interesting little stories. And if she's in the social sexual space, like that's kind of like, or the sexual social space, that's kind of like her little.
Oh yeah, I get your point. Yeah, yeah. 7s are like the storytellers, and they're like, I have the goods, you know. But then here the goods are people with clout and whatever sexual what's the word? Yeah, like they're on top of the sexual pyramid in a way. So yeah.
And I could see that being like a kind of also like a wing 8 thing, like, because I know people be like, that's 3. But if she's like got wing 8, 4 wing 3,
Oh yeah.
and
Man, 8s are
wing 2, even wing 2, I think.
wing 8 is like wing 8 like takes like initial sorry, not wing 8, 8 in general. Initially I thought it was only like, I thought 8s, because they're 8s, they won't be like, I'm great, I'm amazing. I'm like, they don't need to say that because they already feel that. But no, 8s also do that. They have this like, oh, I've got it. Oh, I smashed the guy. Oh, I got the job. You know, they have this like boisterous, over the top, just saying, you know.
And at the end of the 4 liners, it was like, monotonous. And I walked across the stage as the director told me to walk across the stage saying, monotonous. Monotonous. I said, by the time I get to the other side of the stage, the audience is going to say monotonous. So I begged them to give me 6 chaise lounges, which I don't think I got. I think I got something like 3 or 4. And as I was singing whatever the words were, I don't remember them right now, but I would come onto the stage on the stage lounge and I would do whatever. Monotonous for what it's worth throughout the earth. I'm known as
Oh, the poor cup.
Yeah, like this is the 7 coming out to play. Like yeah.
God,
She
no shame.
probably like rubbed on his dick, on his gross old corporate dick. What are you thinking, social sexual or sexual social?
Yeah, this is difficult.
I
We were
almost want
discuss
social.
we were discussing with the another person
Oh yeah.
who said like social, they seem sloppy in the social realm, so they might be like social second rather than dominant. But I'm starting to think like they might be social dom. She might be social dom, but I'm not completely sold on it.
I
Um,
sexual social, because she does feel sort of contra in the sense that she's like, where's the access points? Do you know what I mean? Like, she kind of seems in her own little magical, horrible.
I mean,
uh,
she said something like, "Oh, or I didn't give them a chance to at like at guys liking her."
hmm.
So she could be like kind of inapproachable in that sense.
And I guess like I'm just sort of thinking out loud, but sexual, social, which is like a sort of vulnerable, permeable stacking, but with like 7, 8, 1, 4, like that's probably gonna be like sort of almost angry. Like
Yeah, like SOSX is not gonna be as as like easy to penetrate when you have like a 714, or like easy to please or easy to, win over.
Yeah. And I have noticed like a pattern, like sexual socials sometimes do have their sob stories. So that could be part of the sob story swirl. But yeah, she does seem to be like she needs to have the attention on her, whether it's like, I mean, she is like the guest, but there's this sort of thirst you can almost feel that like, I still got it right. Like whether it's like by telling her heartfelt sad story, or it's like,
I actually think she's social first,
yeah,
because she's getting your attention. Like you can almost look at the order of what was happening in the video. She starts with the narratives, with the stories, with the performances, and then she moves on to the next level, which is like sitting on his lap. Like social comes before the sexual, in my opinion.
Okay.
Um, Even like
Although she
her
does
songs, like she has a lot of like oh sorry, uh she has like a lot of exotic songs, with like like that Timbuktu thing, like she was singing in Gaelic at some point. Like it feels a little bit more like social, intellectual, whatever,
Hmm.
flavored, and then the sexual is like a helping element.
Although sexual triple frustration is scary. Like she's scary. Like, what I mean?
Mhm.
There's like I would just feel really scared of her if I was in a room with her,
Oh yeah.
even though she's cool.
But
Well,
then that's the thing, like you can say that social sexual, like you feel like they're gonna eat you up more than more than sexual social.
well, I guess not. That's a good point. Yeah. So, well, I think social sexuals are more tacky than sexual socials.
Oh
Like they're
yeah.
like tits out flopping around and like um I mean if
And
she's from a different
where would
era,
you say she is? Where would you say she is though?
I don't know. Okay, let's watch a little more. I'm not actually sure. I think 7 wing 8, 4 wing 3, 1 wing 2. Like I think heart second. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm okay with either. I usually like I'm always, I think I mentioned this before. I lean to always having gut like second with head types. But yeah, doesn't matter to me the order.
Now you know why I'm the most exciting woman in the world.
I just love showbiz.
Most exciting woman in the world. I mean, that does speak to her having sexual and 7. So it's probably 7 wing 8 and sexual. It's
But
funny.
that feels social to me, because excitement is like entertainment. I'm not seeing it like in the sexual. Um,
Yeah, you're making some good points. I just love
Be better. I'll be sitting over here.
After crawling across these stage lounges, by the time I got to the other end of the stage, they had to write 3 or 4 more verses because the audience loved it so much. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Many people, when they hear your name, immediately think of Catwoman.
Oh, yeah.
And your book, you say, I loved playing Catwoman. This was a situation comedy you were on for how many episodes, maybe?
I don't think I was on more than 3.
And it's among the most memorable television ever. Why is it that has such a resonance for so many years for so many people?
Well, I cannot speak for other people, but for me, it was really making fun of ourselves. We were taking the mickey out of us as Eartha Kitt. I'm always taking the mickey out of myself anyway, because I don't think anybody in the world has been more fortunate than I have been, and life has been so much fun for me. But to be able to do that, to make fun of oneself, I don't believe in making fun of other people because I laugh at myself and with myself more than I think anyone else would, because I think it's a lot of fun being Eartha Kitt. Oh, I love every moment of it because I can tease myself, I can play with my mind, I can play with other people's minds.
Mental masturbation.
Yeah, this is totally seven stuff. I can play with my mind. I can play with other people's minds. Yeah, that's totally seven.
And it's like making fun of oneself. Like I guess you can say, well, no, it's sixes that do that, but I think this is like she still has like positive self-regard for herself.
Yeah. And I mean, four is also like brings a self-deprecation to the seven. But it's
Yeah.
more like fake, I think. Don't tell anybody.
Oh, with the joke rather than taking me as something that is insulting them. But Catwoman to
And also like her again to her face, it's like she's just like it's she looks like this little piranha creature. It's like
Like
so-
Botox, but she actually has no Botox.
yeah. I can't remember who all I've talked to this stuff about, but there does seem to be like people's faces do, I think, age into their energy. And I think you said the tension, it's like
Yeah, the pursed lips, the lift to the eyebrows. You see with sixes like crease marks, like forehead creases from all the scowling and the raised the terrified wide open eyes and whatever.
yeah. I think if she's two, if it's like one and four, then it's gonna be like mouth pointing down and like yeah.
to me was really one of the best things I've ever done because I didn't have to think about it. I didn't have to think about, oh, how do you play a cat? I am. I'm the character. I think. And I don't think that when people are, I cannot talk for other actors, but when I am called on to do a character, I don't have to go back into my childhood and remember when I was happy or when I was sorrowful, or when I was this and that and the other thing. It's there. So when I read the script, I already know that who that character is because I felt it, and that's why I accepted the character.
We hear from a lot of Black
That's
performers.
interesting.
I feel like social sexuals are also like they're the entertainers, they're the storytellers.
You think sexual
Like social self-pres are the storytellers in like the proper way, like let's document it, let's make a book, let's teach people a lesson. But social sexuals are like the ones that tell you, like they tell you a story at a party and then people like remember them and they're just enjoying them saying the story. Like I came across a social sexual once who like said a story about killing a fly. And then they made it like into basically like a hero story of like murdering a rival, like just like made it entirely over the top, colorful, whatever, them showing bravery and whatever valor at killing a fly. This is not like what have I learned? What social critique is this? It's just entertaining. It makes you like the person, but like it's not like the social suppress type of telling a story. And she's doing that. It's like, what have I learned from this except you just being an amazing person or like a cool, funny person? You didn't tell me anything about the world necessarily.
on the fence.
Is that they had to make choices.
Mhm.
They had to choose whether to join the movement or stay apolitical. Where were you in that universe? Did you gravitate to
Good
political,
stuff.
or did you say
Yeah, this might
I'm
clarify.
an actress and that's my primary mission in life?
You don't think about it, whether it's going to ruin my career or because I'm a human being, I'm an American citizen, I happen to love this country. And I know that we have our struggles, but we fight them from the inside of the country. And I think that when we start fighting each other, then we are self-destructive.
What did you think
She just
I know
receives
you're
like,
part Martin Luther King. What was your sense of Malcolm X?
Oh, I was always fighting with Malcolm. He and I had tremendous discussions. As a matter of fact, the Sunday before he was killed, I had come out of Africa, I think, and we had my daughter and I had stopped in London, and we were on the BBC, and I was trying to get him to think and join Martin Luther King's movement, and I think he was then thinking about doing that, and he came back to America, and that's when we had this tremendous discussion all the time. As a matter of fact, the Black Panthers threatened me many times. They caught me in an elevator at the Palmer House in Chicago and said, "We know that you're with Martin Luther King, but we want you to be on our side. And if you're not going to be on our side, then..."
I'm still thinking sexual social. This is, and she's doing, I've noticed this is a thing. And they, like, I mean, I'm sure this happened, but it's almost the way they tell the story that make, I don't know how to explain what I'm trying to say.
I know what you mean, but I feel like well, I can do like a simpler argument and say like, oh, her being involved in this even can point to some her being a social dom, especially since 7 and 4 usually is not very political, except maybe for you, Larissa, but only very recently.
No, but I'm always like gravitating towards interesting people, but
Yeah.
like I feel like social's feeding her sexual, not sexual feeding her social. Do you know what I mean? Like she has that kind of, and she kind of has that like deity, like icon thing that she clearly loves. Not that a social sexual wouldn't, but I don't know.
Yeah, I
Like,
agree. I agree. Sexual social, it has that deity thing. Yeah, like self, like making mythology of oneself.
yes. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think that's what this is. And I think it's like it's yeah, yes, that's perfect self-mythologizing. Like I feel like that's what we're witnessing in all of these interviews. These stories, like, because it's like the Genesis story, but it's not like the 3 Genesis story. It's like this constant churning, what I'm always dealing with, but I'm still fantastic. It's like I feel like, yeah, I think this social is 7 and 4, and also like that super ego punch. It's like just fascinating. Because I mean 7 and 4 is already self-mythologizing without sexual social, but I think it adds like an extra, she wants you to notice the self, like the mythology, if you will. I don't want to embody a little Eartha Kitt. Like, this feels fun. Like, welcome to our podcast, darling.
Oh God, I can't even go near doing that. Ugh.
To Harlem, we will get you. And of course, scared to death with these 4 beautiful, strapping men, pinning me up against the wall for the wrong reason.
Yeah, she is a very good storyteller. Like, this is fun to listen to. It's because it's so different than her other interviews where she's depressed and like,
Yeah, this is a different energy. Yeah.
they keep zooming in on this lady who's missing like all of her the right side of her face is teeth.
Leave the poor lady alone.
You don't say anything. Yeah, absolutely quiet. And when I came to Harlem to do the Apollo Theater, they were there when I was doing speeches on behalf of Martin Luther King and they were ridiculing me, of course, and they threatened that they would get me again. But I stood my ground and walked from the 7th Avenue Teresa Hotel all by myself back to the Apollo Theater as slowly as I could, doing the window shopping. And no matter how many words they threw at me, I stood my grounds and no harm was done.
Damn, that's
This is a
terrifying.
show largely about free expression in the First
Yeah,
Amendment.
I mean, that I think goes to show something that's scary. And she's so little.
And you had a singular experience one day having lunch at the White House. And I'd like to explore that with you because that story's been told from a number of different perspectives. And I'd just like to walk through it very carefully. We're going to get the definitive story of Eartha Kitt and Lady Bird that day at the White House. You were invited to lunch with 50 other women. What did you believe you were going to do? What was the expectation of that luncheon?
First of all, the invitation said, why is there so much juvenile delinquency in the streets of America? And I took the subject seriously because I work with different areas of the United States among the young people. I still have an organization in Watts called Kidsville, where we bring the young people in to teach them physical therapy through the dance form, et cetera, as well as other things. But this luncheon was with us 50 women who were to discuss the problems among the young people at that time. And when the time came, I raised my hand and told Mrs. Johnson what the young boys of this country had told me, who had fled the United States, met me in my dressing rooms, no matter which part of the world I was in, such as Canada and England, etc. And we would sit on my floor, in my dressing room, or in my hotel suite, and we would discuss what it was that they was problemed with. And the biggest problem among them was our involvement in Vietnam. And they said, if you're a good guy, you don't get sent, you get sent to Vietnam. If you're a bad guy, you have a little stigma against you and you don't go to Vietnam. Not that they did not love the country, but they didn't want us to be involved there. It was a dishonorable war and it was an unwinnable war. So when I raised my hand and told Mrs. Johnson what those boys had told me and also how I felt about our involvement in Vietnam, it seems that within 2 hours, I was out of work in the United States, according to my dossier that was given to me, not the whole thing, it was just a smidgen. It said that I was on the CIA list in the United States of America.
Damn, we're finding all the CIA, like, hot ones. Everyone that's interesting was on the fucking CIA's list. Okay, sorry.
During a discussion that was largely devoted to the beautification of America.
Well, her idea, according to the ladies there too, was to plant wild seeds along Route 66. And I thought that's all very well and good. But what we need is education for everyone, equal education for all. And why is it that our schools are so dilapidated and our educational system so much at fault? Because I believe that if you get an education, you can cross anybody's line because it's your intelligence that counts, not what you look like.
It's like a head type thing too. I don't know. I'm finding it. Well, let's hear. Okay, let's just switch to a new. I'm unclear about which one she's dominant in.
Or are you still an expatrié or?
I've never been an expatriate. I don't know why people think that.
Oh, you just scared me again. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I like this country very much. I know we have our problems, but I think running away from the problems isn't going to solve anything. And I think going away to another country and exchanging your own country's problems for another country's problems doesn't help anything anyway.
Yeah.
So I always come home.
Yeah. You know, I was thinking, I read your book this morning, as a matter of fact. I really hadn't ever read it before. And I wondered if you ever stopped and think if it weren't for all those people.
Like, I'm just trying to think about, because like one adds an extra sort of component of social. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and that duty component of like, and the idealization, and we must help, kind of stuff. Like, I'm just trying to think of how a social sexual would look versus a sexual social with this, like, that's a 7-4-1.
One argument for, even though I'm leaning social sexual, but one argument for sexual social is that she seems to have social naivete, going to a freaking presidential house and being showing anti-war sentiments during the war. Like, did she really not know that this is like this is something that they were like literally blacklisting people for?
Yeah, I feel like she's sexual social, but I'm not really able to like explain why, and I'm not doing vibe typing. It's just kind of a cool look. This seems like, you know what I would almost picture, like the 147. There's something to this.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because like, yeah, and then there's like, it is kind of like actually in some weird way like godly, like it is a self-mythologizing, I think, trifix. Actually, it's probably one as well, because stuff that Alex has said, it's pretty
Yeah, it's like diva. It's probably the diva kind of. Oh, you know who she reminds me of? The villain Cruella. It's like
yeah, yeah, totally, like and she kind of talks a little like it too, like
uh-huh.
yeah, this is perfect. Oh my god, I wonder if they were like, when they created this, actually I don't know if Dalmatians is what year that came out, but also I think like social sexual is more, actually, because sexual social is more serious than social sexual, right?
You're saying sexual social is more serious? Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, I think I think she's sexual social, like she's having fun, but when she is talking about serious things, she gets very serious, and like I think social sexuals are more like splashy and like
Like yeah, she takes it lightly. I think she takes the social stuff lightly. So, and then she's also like she's pretty self-absorbed, but I mean Seven is already self-absorbed.
yeah.
You know what? I'm starting to get maybe more sold on sexual social.
Is it just because you don't want to be around this call going around in circles? Oh, this is
Yeah.
amazing. Oh my god, I love this. I'm gonna save that for the, I think it's sexual social, because I think like, and I'm not trying to say this in like a mean way about her, but I think like if she has triple image and she's sexual social, there's something very almost like it's like desperate, like not like I don't know what a better word is to use.
You're saying she's desperate or she could be more desperate.
No, she is kind of like, there's this sort of like, won't you please? Like just um I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, so
Like
to summarize what we
it's
think.
not repulsive desperation like I get off some other type combos and things, but it's this sort of um like she needs to be viewed. That could actually be the self-objectification of sexual.
But she doesn't do it in a tacky way, weirdly.
No, but that's social sexual is how I think they
Yeah.
do. Yeah.
Should we give a type summary?
Yeah, sure.
So said 7 wing 8, 1 wing 2, or 4 first. 1 wing 2, 4 wing 3. Because yeah, 4 wing 3, you can see it like just like effort on aesthetics, you know, shiny, aristocratic. So and 1 wing 2, because yeah, there is a 2 flavor there. Oh my god. See, I'm gonna go save that one.
Yeah. Okay, just drag. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if she's heart second. It's like in some interviews she seems very heart second, in other interviews she almost seems 1 second, but um I leaned for, I think I leaned 4 second, because she seems very in touch with her emotions.
Yeah. Um, yeah, and then sexual social. Again, 1 wing 2 means that she has like all like triple heart.
Yeah.
That one with her dress draped on the couch, that one is nice.
Her dress. Oh, this one?
I think
Or
yeah, that one on the bottom right. Ugh, get your heels off get your dirty shoes off the couch.
Yeah, I think she's sexual social. I feel like these are sexual social poses over social sexual.
Like, you can't touch me.
Yeah, she knows how to work it.
Yeah, it's like she's a statue. She's not, you can't really get her.
I'm starting to think sexual social too has like kind of like a, maybe I already said this last night. I feel like a memory hold a chunk of last night's but it's kind of like, yeah, it's like little girl. I noticed too when we typed like Dasha Nekrasova sexual social and she's like 947. There's something very little girlish about her. Like she's kind of always doing this like little Catholic girl thing, and I'm
Hmm.
that might actually be a sexual social thing.
I don't know. I feel like this is like a 7. I think this is a 7 with sexual thing generally.
Maybe.
Yeah, because there's like there's this youthful thing with 7s always.
Yeah. Could be the combo, yeah. Anyway, yeah, I feel good about this. Rest in peace, Eartha Kitt. May you be having many celebrations and songs in heaven.